Glad to see you again.
Thank you. After this interview, you will go immediately into a meeting with your security cabinet. Will Israel take control of all of Gaza?
We intend to, in order to assure our security, remove Hamas there, enable the population to be free of Gaza, and to pass it to civilian governance. That is not Hamas and not anyone advocating the destruction of Israel. That's what we want to do. We want to liberate ourselves and liberate the people of Gaza from the awful terror of Hamas. And you were in the Gaza Strip today. You met Palestinians who are fighting Hamas because finally they see that they have a future. They can rid themselves of this awful tyranny that not only holds our hostages, but holds 2 million Palestinians in Gaza hostage. That's got to end.
Are you saying today that you will take control of the entire 26-mile Gaza Strip, as it was 20 years ago to this month in 2005?
Well, we don't want to keep it. We want to have a security perimeter. We don't want to govern it. We don't want to be there as a governing body. We want to hand it over to Arab forces that will govern it properly without threatening us and giving Gazans a good life. That's not possible with Hamas. The only way that you're going to have a different future is to get rid of this neo-Nazi army. The Hamas are monsters. Look at what they're doing to our people. Look at what they're doing to the way they massacred, raped, beheaded our people, our men and women, burned our babies. And they are really cruel to their own people, because when we try to take them away from the combat zones, they shoot them. They want people to be civilian casualties. They want a starvation policy that they themselves are trying to put into being, and we're doing everything to reverse that. They have to go. I think President Trump has said it. You have to see two things in Gaza. You have to see Hamas eliminated, and you have to have the hostages released, and he's absolutely right.
There are 20 hostages that the Israelis believe are still alive. And in recent events, the closer the IDF got to them, many of them were killed. Are you prepared for that?
We're doing everything in our power to salvage the hostages. We've, in the beginning, the second day of the war, I think, a senior command official in Israel said, you're going to have to get used to the idea that we're not going to see any of them alive. And I said, no, I don't agree with that. I think with a combination of the right military tactics and international pressure, we can get all of them, and certainly most of them, out. So far, we got out of 255, we've got 205 released. 148 of them are alive. Nobody believed that. And I believe we can get the others, but we have to combine the right tactics, military tactics. Without military pressure, nothing works.
Yesterday, I spoke with Laron Berman. He has two brothers.
Yes.
His family believes they are still alive. He said the following: my advice to you, speaking to the Prime Minister, by all means necessary, we need to bring them back for stability in the region, for the future of Israel. It's a tough decision, but we will handle everything, meaning Israel. What do you say to the families of the hostages?
That's exactly what we're trying to do. People say you can't both release the hostages and eliminate Hamas, and I disagree. I think so far we've shown that we can, and I intend to complete the job. But we have three missions. One, to eliminate the Hamas as a governing and military power in Gaza. Otherwise, there's no future for anyone. And we'll have many more kidnappings and many more hostages. Second, achieve the liberation of all our hostages. And third, make sure that Gaza doesn't pose a threat to Israel again. And we're well on our way to achieve all three. Now, there are difficulties because there's so much vilification and misrepresentation in the press. There's an attempt to put blame on Israel for the interdiction of humanitarian supplies that Hamas is interdicting, and Israel is, the international community is delivering the blame to Israel. They're doing everything to rob these food trucks. They're taking the food for themselves and then jacking up the price for the remaining supplies to their own population. That's monstrous.
We have seen some of that, and you're right about that. And you're also right that we went into Gaza while we've been here this week. And we were in the southern town of Rafah, near the Sinai Desert in Egypt. And that town has been flattened. And you have been accused of genocide. How do you respond to that?
Well, as Ambassador Huckabee said, if we're practicing genocide, we're surely doing a very bad job of it, because we could have, basically eliminated the entire population of Gaza, but we went the other direction. We did something that no army in history ever did. We're supplying humanitarian food to the enemy's population because we distinguish between combatants and non-combatants. We put in 2 million tons of food. I mean, if we wanted to commit genocide, we wouldn't give 2 million tons of food to the population. And also, the reason you see the flattened buildings is because Hamas booby traps every single building. So when we come in, we first have the population moved, even though Hamas tries to keep them in the combat zones. But after they move, and we start to move into the neighborhoods that are now populated only by terrorists, they ignite these booby traps. So what we do is we put in an APC, an armored personnel carrier, with a lot of explosives, detonate it. It sets off all the booby traps, and the buildings begin to collapse as a result of that. They're empty buildings. They're not populated buildings. Secondly, they've built this underground terror tunnel network with billions of dollars that they had. They didn't build Gaza up. They built a Gaza terror city underground. So we now detonate the tunnels. The tunnels explode, and they take down the buildings that are above the tunnels. And the reason you see this devastation is not because Israel is wiping out these structures filled with civilians. It's because they've been booby-trapped by Hamas, and that's the kind of warfare that we have to wage.
I'm hearing you say that you deny this charge of genocide.
Totally.
That's what you're saying.
Totally.
But last week, and you referred to it a few moments ago, President Trump mentioned the word starvation. And he pretty much said it is what it is from his observation, looking at video and pictures. Were you surprised by that?
No, look, I think President Trump has been terrific. He's supported us in so many ways. And he understands that we have to get rid of Hamas. He understands that Hamas is also using their own interdiction tactics to prevent humanitarian aid going. So there's been shortages, no question about that. There's been also suffering. And what I intend to do with President Trump, we talked about that and agreed upon that, is to overcome this with a humanitarian surge. So we're opening up safe routes through which aid trucks can go through. We're going to try to quadruple the distribution points that are manned by Americans. And they're doing a hell of a job distributing food to Gazans without Hamas taking over the food. And that's really what we're doing. And airdrops that we intend to do, we're already doing. And we invite other countries to join us. So it's Israel that's doing now, and has been doing for some time, an effort to give humanitarian aid to the population without letting the Hamas terrorists take it, steal it for themselves, and sell it at exorbitant prices.
Has President Trump given the green light for your plan to take over the remaining 25% of Gaza and occupy all of it?
Well, he understands that it's Israel who's going to do the fighting. It's not American soldiers.
Did he give you a yes?
Well, he just says, I know Israel will do what it has to do, and we haven't got into that kind of discussion. But we have gone into a discussion on two things. One, the humanitarian surge that we're going to do, which will precede our final military action, because I want the population to be in safe zones, to have food, water, sewage, electricity, medical help. I want to free 2 million Gazans from Hamas terrorism. The second thing that we agree on is that the day after has to have certain principles. I'm not talking about a detailed plan yet, because I think that'll be developed. But the 5 principles, the key principles are these. 1, Hamas has to lay down its arms. 2, Gaza has to be demilitarized. 3, all the hostages have to be released. And 4, Israel will be responsible for overall security. So if there's an attempt to have a resurgent Hamas or resurgent terrorism, we're the ones who are going to take care of it. And 5, let Gaza be governed by a civilian authority that is not Israel, because I don't want to occupy Gaza forever. I don't want to govern Gaza. I want to have a different governance there that basically is willing to live in peace with Israel and give Gazans a different future. That's entirely different from these unbelievable lies that are leveled against us, frankly against me too, by the international press that doesn't care to check the facts. It just takes Hamas statistics, Hamas arguments. It just, swallows them hook, line, and sinker, and delivers this vilification of the one democracy, the one Jewish state that is fighting people massacred. It's the equivalent of the massacre of thousands and thousands of Americans, the rocketing of American cities. Nobody would stand for that.
Come back to my experience inside Gaza this week. We went to an aid distribution site, food distribution site. Your own soldiers have been accused of killing innocent Gazans who are in line for food. That's the accusation, almost on a daily basis. Can you defend that?
Yeah, I could deny it because it's a Hamas accusation. They're the ones often who are doing the shooting and waiting for our soldiers to respond. And in fact, very often they don't respond. But all these stories are repeated ad nauseum. And the people don't even bother to check the facts. We're doing everything that we can to avoid civilian casualties. And in fact, if you look at it, I mean, the town of Rafah that you saw all that, right?
All of it.
Right, okay. So I told you why there was devastation, because we moved the population out and then went to and dealt with the booby traps that were there. And we killed a lot of terrorists there. You know how many civilians we killed there? Practically none. Why? Because we told them, please leave. We showered them with leaflets. We called them millions of text messages and many other means to get them out, and they walked out. They walked out 2 miles to the coast where they had a safe zone, and practically no civilians were killed. That nobody describes, nobody talks about. Israel is doing things that no army in history has done. John Spencer, Colonel John Spencer, who's the head of urban warfare studies at West Point, he said that he scoured all of his modern history. He said no army in the world has done that. And yet Israel is, of course, accused again and again and again by fake reports, by Hamas statistics that are fake. And, if you repeat a lie often enough, it assumes the cachet of self-evident truth. It's still a lie.